Great to welcome in the chairman of the State Judiciary Committee in the State House, Weston Newton, state representative from Bluffton, to talk about one of the huge number of issues that are going to be facing the judiciary this session, but maybe one that affects more of us than any other. The one about the amount of insurance that bars and restaurants need to have in order to cover themselves in case of a DUI. Representative Newton, explain what set this up and why the numbers are just getting crazy and really causing some bars and restaurants some serious financial issues.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well,
Sure.
Tragic set of circumstances back in 2017. Somebody was injured in some clearly circumstances where alcohol was overserved. There was no insurance.
Right.
To take care of the victim. As a consequence, the General Assembly passed a law that said if you're selling alcohol for on-premise consumption, you got to have $1 million worth of minimum coverage.
No problem there. Everybody gets that. Yep.
What's happened in the years since 2017 is insurance premiums have skyrocketed 4, 5, 6, 7, even 800%.
Wow. The
number of carriers in the market have dwindled. A recent report from the Department of Insurance, at least based on just that particular type of insurance product,
right,
for every $3 paid out in claims, there's $1 paid in premiums.
Okay.
So again, as it relates to purely that type of policy, what's being reported is that there's a loss by the insurance company, and bars and restaurants, even those that have no claims, are facing enormous increases.
Okay, that sounds like something you'd obviously want to address. The insurance companies are going to say, yeah, but South Carolina's number 1 or number 2 or number 3, depending on who you're reading the numbers from, in DUI situations. So that's why the numbers are so high and why their rates are so high. Obviously, homeowners insurance does the same sort of thing when we have catastrophes that way. Explain to me how you're going to try to get this through to lower insurance premiums.
Sure. Well, I mean, clearly this whole discussion is in the context of the unenviable statistic in South Carolina, number 3 in the country per capita DUI fatalities.
Right.
So this effort is not purely about addressing this insurance issue. It's about making sure that there's a component of it that's trying to help reduce DUIs as well.
Bingo.
Because just the expensive premiums in and of itself hadn't done it, at least not since 2017. But it's to provide mitigation. If we're requiring safe serve training of all employees at an on-premises establishment, that they've been given the proper training as it relates to serving alcohol, and that there's a step down in premiums. If you close at 10 o'clock or you close at 8 o'clock, obviously there's a difference than if you're open until midnight or 2 or 3, and to the percentage of sales vis-a-vis food sales, as well as the time of day. So it's a step down in coverage for those folks that obviously are not involved in the later night activities. Mitigation for and language requiring the insurers, the insurance companies, to afford premium discounts when somebody does that. But at the same time,
go ahead.
At the same time, strengthening the DUI laws.
Okay.
If it's a higher percentage of alcohol, then the penalty ought to be stiffer. If it involves bodily injury or harm, stiffer penalty. Because we're not just trying to address the business component.
Right.
We're trying to help protect those folks that are good actors that shouldn't be saddled with the bad actors,
right,
and at the same time make sure that we're taking steps within the legislation to help bring about better conduct in general in terms of DUIs.
You got this through the House last year, I believe, and it kind of ran up against the calendar on the Senate side. How will you feel the chances are better?
I do. I mean, the Senate this year is actually taking up a broader package that they've labeled tort reform, of which this alcohol liability is a component part. The last thing that our legislation does in the House, it does include some knowingly language to make sure that the insurance companies are not evaluating risk based on strict liability, that there is a knowingly standard, that you knowingly did something wrong in over-serving, and that we're addressing some of the apportionment of fault provisions. So given the fact that the Senate is actually taking up the topic in a broader context, don't know whether they'll get anything through or not, but at least is a signal that I think if we get this through the House again, the Senate will have the opportunity to consider it.
All right, it'll be something we're watching for sure. Thanks so much for joining us, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the State House, Weston Newton. We appreciate the time.
Always a pleasure. Good to be with you.
We'll be back with more of the WHHI Daily News right after this.